Bonjour, Alastair. How are you doing today?
Very good. Lovely to be here with you.
It's a
and
real
thanks
pleasure.
for all your hard work here as well.
Oh, thank you so much. You're very kind. We wanted to do it in French, but then it's probably more appropriate to do the interview in English. I know you can do it in French, though.
I could try, but I suppose that my role to make sure we come through Brexit in some way, shape or form means that I should speak English today.
Exactly. If we step back, so again, it's an honor to have you today. We are a bit late as well, so you've patiently been waiting, which is very kind of you.
Of course.
We're at Innovate Finance, the Global Summit 2019, and I just wanted to touch on the fact that you've been extremely involved in that initiative years ago. You were the founding chair, right?
Yeah.
Of Innovate Finance quite a few years back, and you might even have recruited or the likes of Charlotte and brought them to the program. Am I correct? Can you tell us more about that?
Everything deserves an upgrade. So I was
very smooth.
I had the huge honour of launching Innovate Finance 5 years ago with George Osborne, the then Chancellor, and obviously we've had Philip Hammond speak here today. But then it was a heady time. We were excited about fintech, and after the global financial crisis, we had to work out how do we sort of accelerate the reinvention of the City of London. One of the great things about this amazing city is it does move with the times, but sometimes not perhaps as quickly as it needs to. And after 2008, we really had to put our foot on the accelerator, and Innovate Finance was one key pillar of that, creating an industry body that was there for the biggest banks, the incumbents, but also for the two-person startup that's come up with an amazing idea to disrupt finance. And this alchemy, this perfect mix we have of right touch regulatory environments, big banks, challenger banks, fintech companies, a great cyber industry, the fact you can get on a tube from Canary Wharf early in the morning, meet with loads of international banks, come up to the City of London, go to the London Stock Exchange, meet the Lord Mayor, go to Shoreditch, head to Battersea, head to Westminster, head to Heathrow, go out export, all in a day. And we sort of, I don't think we take it for granted, but we don't highlight enough how important that is, because if you're in the United States, you go to New York for Fin, you go to the Valley for tech, and you go to Washington to talk to the regulators. And so we have this alchemy. And Innovate Finance was designed to be a lobby group. It was designed to represent that industry, big and small, old and new. And Charlotte and Natalie have done a great job of getting it to this stage.
It's brilliantly summarized. And as a Frenchman living here for 17 years and proudly a Londoner now, I can reflect on that and really value what a lovely city London is. If I step we managed to have Charlotte as well, so she did a great job articulating again Innovate Finance and explaining the vision. So that's great. This morning, we had an announcement about the Fintech Alliance, right? I don't know how much time you want to spend there, but what I'd like to do with you is to step back a bit. You talk about fintech in that environment, which arguably it's still a bit tense, for lack of a better word. Sorry, I'm not a politician, but like with Europe, with Brexit, with like Halloween Day, maybe Guy Fawkes Day on my birthday, we'll see there's clarity by then. Could you please again share your views on that broader fintech space and ecosystem, of course in the UK, as of now, 2019?
Absolutely. No, look, I think you've described it well in the question. It is a very transient time. I think we live in a transient time. That's nothing to do with the political environment. A world of technology, mainframe into blade frame, into machine learning, into AI, into singularity perhaps one day, means that the world is being disrupted at light speed relatively, very, very quickly. And whilst there's geopolitical unrest and there's all of these other challenges we face, technology and innovation and entrepreneurship doesn't wait. It just keeps going. So, and I'm sure Charlotte touched on this earlier, that the challenge for us is to keep this fusion, this right touch regulation that we just talked about, this alchemy, this balance, not just in London. And people make the mistake of thinking of fintech as a London thing. It's not. Throughout the regions, we've had the fintech envoys here, Chris Sear and Richard Theo and David Duffy, and they do a fantastic job around the nation. But it's not just about our domestic market. We have to take that alchemy, the rule of law, all the things we do well as a country, and we have to internationalize it. That's why we have the fintech bridges. That's why we have a strong trade body like Innovate Finance. But each one of those is just one piece of the jigsaw. And thank you for raising it. The Chancellor announced today the Fintech Alliance. The Fintech Alliance is not a trade body, it's not a lobby group. It's designed to be a digital platform, accessible to all. So in the same way that people should be able to go and, we have this digital library that is Google really nowadays, where you can go and find out anything you want. It's your responsibility as a reader to work out the wheat from the chaff and which is real news and which is fake news. What we've done with the Fintech Alliance is we've said, now's probably the time for there to be an overarching platform above all of these things that says, look, if you really want to know what's going on, the point of view of Innovate Finance, the point of view of Tech City, the point of view of the Treasury, this is where you find it. So it's content curation. It's not a point of view. It's not about a journalist coming out and saying, I think this means that, or what Charlotte said means this. It's the opposite. It's saying, come here and find the one-stop shop for everything that's going on. And it's at early stages. There's an amazing team behind it. It's been supported by some great big global companies, but we have to get the community to embrace it and see that it's an opportunity for the people that are really doing the work, the people that are driving the innovation agenda, not just the fintechs, the entrepreneurs within the big banks, that person that happens to be the head of innovation for a massive global bank who you'll never find out about on their website because their website's all about selling current accounts and mortgages. But that person needs to be understood by the ecosystem. And so the design of the Fintech Alliance will be to be a community, digital community, accessible to all. And the team behind it, I think, will make it a great success. But it's just at the beginning, and the opportunity to launch it here at the Global Summit is fantastic.
I know, it's perfectly timed, so it was quite exciting indeed. There are two questions about that, if you don't mind, and then we'll go backwards to more macro level. One, you mentioned curation, which I think it's not new, but of course it's extremely important to have a team, potentially AI at some point, not when you're dealing with so little volume, but
Tech and touch.
Tech and touch, I like it. Tech and touch, but you need curation. So that means that you're going to be able to identify, again, all the right key contacts, stakeholders, influencers at the organization level, so the members level. So you need to have a lot of conversations and identify the right people. That might be time consuming, but I guess that's one of the goals.
Yes.
And second question would be, is it because I missed that, apology, I'm just French after all. Is it like a first of its kind initiative, or did you get inspired from other countries in the tech world which have adopted such a similar approach? It's something you can share as well.
It's a great question, and probably exposing my age here, but my first experience of something like this was in 1999. I had the huge honour of joining a small group of people to launch an initiative called ePolitics. And Tony Blair at the time was the Prime Minister. He was sort of at the peak of his powers and talked about broadband Britain and how we were going to roll out all of this amazing technology and that everyone was going to go online. Unfortunately, on his own doorstep, only 49 out of 659 MPs had a website. And so it's quite difficult to say, we're behind this, and then look around in your party and the political class and see that they weren't embracing it. So a group of us got together and created ePolitics, and ePolitics became the news. There was Hansard, that still existed, and Hansard told you everything that was discussed in the chamber. There was still all the lobby groups, they still had their own point of view. The Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors had a point of view, and the Institute of Directors, and everybody had a point of view. But it was very difficult, if you were an MP's researcher or bring it forward to the Fintech Alliance, if you're a student that's trying to really understand the fintech ecosystem, or you're a business person or an investor trying to understand. Everyone's got a vested interest, and what's so great about this is we're not here to give you a point of view, we're here to show you the debate. And it's the things that go on in the corridors and the cocktail parties and all the rest of it, but we're trying to bring that to life digitally. And so it's not a small task, but I think if you look at who's behind it, you look at the Chancellor supporting it, and you look at the companies that have said, yeah, we'll get behind you and make this thing happen, I think it's got a really good chance. And working collaboratively with the ecosystem, with the likes of Innovate Finance and everybody else, I think we will continue, we won't ever rest on our laurels, but the UK will continue to be a beacon in the fintech industry, and that's really important.
It is. Thank you very much for answering that, yeah. And I can see the potential of such an initiative. Of course, time will tell in terms of adding to it, bringing even more and more value to that platform, increasing the level of range of content curation and stakeholders, identification, and so on and so forth. That's going to be extremely important. If we step back, I know you're extremely busy again, I won't spend too much of your time. We talk about at the macro level, so fintech still very exciting and still a great place to drive the fintech, world and industry in the UK, not just London. Talent is always, it's been commonly debated here at Innovate Finance Global Summit quite a lot. Attracting the right talent, having access to the right talent. Is it something you can touch here and to reassure people or say, yes, we strongly believe we've got what it takes and we'll still be able again to attract talent from abroad, even after whatever, we've got more clarity on that B topic.
Yeah, look, I think the Chancellor said his piece today, and he said anyone in the room, anyone listening to this broadcast, I want to reassure you that for the right talent, for the right skills, we're open for business. We always have been, we always will be. Through the past 3 industrial revolutions we have, and it's the 4th industrial revolution, and being part of Europe or not doesn't change the fact that this nation is always open to people that want to bring value and bring talent and contribute to our very diverse business culture. So I'm not concerned about that. I think it's a great question in the sense of how do we find the right talent? Because I don't think that we're ever going to offshore as well as India. I don't think we'll put, Israel's great for its security technology. Silicon Valley is great for its kind of finding those massive moonshot unicorns. I think we have to find our own role. And I know Innovate Finance this week have launched their portal for talent. It won't be the only one, but it's another great step. And the idea behind the FinTech Alliance is you should be able to find them all. If you're a student that wants to work out how to get into FinTech, you want to ask some questions. You want to say, I feel like I've got the right vertical skills and I feel like I've got the right soft skills, but where should I fit? I would add a word of caution to the question, and talent's been talked about a lot. Business people, and I've started a number of companies, particularly when they're under pressure, business leaders, can sometimes fall into the trap of looking for excuses. And they can sometimes, we all like to have a whinge, we're human beings. And I think saying, we've got a problem with talent, or we've got a problem with this, can be a throwaway remark. I am yet to see at any stage over the last 20 years a challenge for the right business with the right vision, with the right leaders, with the right capital to find the talent. And I think people that turn that around and say, I need the talent to find the vision, the money, the direction, are wrong. I think people, human beings, will find their own natural flow. And I think that the best companies that we have here in the UK, talent falls over itself to come here. Why would you not want to live in this amazing city? Why would you not want to live in this amazing country? Why would you not want to be part of what is a fantastic fintech ecosystem? Doesn't mean you can't go and do it in California, but I've run companies in California and there's very little loyalty. People will move wherever the next big project is. They'll take IP with them wherever they go. I think this is still the best place to give it a crack. I think it's the best place for fintech in the world, but we have to keep working very hard to keep that status.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Before I ask you the last question, can we just step back or divert a bit? A topic which is dear to my heart. I was born in Africa. We don't have to talk about it too long, but can you just share very quickly, if you don't mind, your work in tech in Africa to, again, help improve the lives of people there?
Of course.
That'd be great.
And we're honoured to have you here doing this role, considering your diverse past.
Thank you.
We went on a trade mission with the Prime Minister Theresa May last year to Africa, and she did a really fantastic job considering everything else that was going on in South Africa, in Nigeria and in Kenya, in explaining her vision, which is we have enshrined in law in the UK that 0.7% of our GDP goes to aid each year. It's a lot of money. So we give a lot of money away to aid, and I think it's very fair to say tracking that money and how effective it's been is not always easy. And so one of the things that we discussed as a group on that trip, and the Prime Minister spoke about it very eloquently, is should we not be fusing really, our trade and our aid strategy to put that money to work in a way that helps our companies that have innovative ideas, helps people trade their way out of poverty rather than constantly giving aid, trade not aid strategy. And so I have the huge honour of chairing a working group between DFID, the Department for International Development, and for DIT. and we get together and we have a group of people that are on the ground doing things, making things happen, and saying, do you know what? If they need a fintech solution, I'm sure, as was the case with M-Pesa in Kenya, probably the poster child of fintech anywhere in the world, leapfrogging generations of legacy systems, created in the UK, invented in the UK, shipped out there from Vodafone to Safaricom, and rolled out. 39% of Kenyan GDP now goes across that platform. Why aren't we doing more of those? If they need hospitals, why aren't we building them? If they need mosquito nets, why aren't we distributing them? So I think this shift in the blend of trade and aid is something that's going to happen. I think many other markets, many other countries, perhaps some of the super giants, are still in sort of buy-in business and buy-in infrastructure. I think for a sustainable aid program, it needs to be blended into a sustainable trade program. So that's what we're working on.
I think it's fascinating. I wish we had more time to talk about that. So how can UK companies help with that? Do you have a simple call to action to potentially participate, share views, ideas, suggestions? Is there one website, portal?
Absolutely. So it is the Africa Council, DFID, DIT.
Okay.
You can speak to any one of the people that are involved, which you can find through either of those websites. And you can come to us if you have a business. In fact, just this morning there was a company, we had a fantastic session with the Kenyan High Commission. There's a UK company called Farm Inc. Brilliant company that has come up with this way of farmers across Africa sharing knowledge and just simply using technology to share knowledge about, do you need pesticides, fertilizers, what's the weather doing, are there better ways to get access to capital? It's businesses that have those solutions that want investment capital to go and deploy them that we want to hear from.
Okay, so call to action on the video on YouTube, it's going to be there. Last question, can you think about, can you share with us the 1, 2, 3 key challenges for growth for a fintech firm based in the UK today? You don't have to be very detailed, but what are the key challenges to take their business to the next level? There could be opportunities in a way as well, but...
Look, I think it's exactly the right question to finish with. It's not unique to fintech. In any industry, there are these steps that you go through, and there's been so many great business books, and from good to great, Atlas has shrugged, the world is flat. There's tons of great business books. I've always looked at it very simply, that there's 5 stages to build in any business, and it's the same in fintech. And in fact, in our early days of Innovate Finance, I'm not sure, I need to ask Charlotte whether we can dust it off and get it out again, but there was this idea of level 39 to the LSE. So Innovate Finance used to be based in level 39, 5 steps that you could take to go from a startup idea all the way through to being a listed company on our great stock exchange, where Charlotte rang the bell earlier this week to launch Fintech Week. and that's about, as you know, a blend of things. It's about capital, it's about talent, it's about 2 ears and 1 mouth, advisors. I think increasingly it's becoming obvious. We do have some great disruptors, and I know Ridian, who's one of my favourite entrepreneurs in the UK, from RateSetter yesterday, said, it's not just about enablement and fusion, it's also about disruption, which I agree with. But if you look at the facts, 80% of the companies that are being really successful in this space are enablers. They're fusion companies. They understand 10% of a big number is a lot better than 100% of nothing. We want to work with the big, we want to work with the old, we want to combine their distribution with our new innovation. And I think that process, to answer your question, that an entrepreneur needs to go through in the UK is about saying, if my idea can get out to 10 million, 15 million, 20 million consumers through another brand, what's the stages I need to go through to make that bank grade, to make it sustainable, to make it, if it's not regulated, at least to comply with the regulation of the partner I'm providing that service to, and then scale it up. And Sherry Kutu and others have done an amazing job of this kind of scale-up industry challenge. But we also have to remember, as the Chancellor said earlier in his speech, we don't have a domestic market of 300 million or of 1.3 billion. Yeah, we do need to prove it here and then internationalise it. And so I think in the UK, you have to look further afield earlier. You need investors that understand that. And it's nothing to do with Europe. It's just a globally trading opportunity. But I think ideation, friends and family. Secondly, show the commercial products, get your first business, your first MVP out the door, raise some scale capital, show the business model is scalable, and then ultimately think about exit or hand it on someone else to scale it. And they're the 5 phases that any fintech company has to go through.
Thank you so much, Alastair, for spending so much time with us today. That was a great pleasure, actually, of mine, spending so much time with you and finish out the day with such a great speaker and talking about such meaningful topics over and beyond just fintech in the UK. So thank you so much.
Thank you
Hopefully
very much.
we'll work together again soon.